Mr. Happy Living here, and I'm happy to be broadcasting from WI TV7 in the beautiful Queen City, Charlotte, North Carolina, USA. Hey, friends, please join me right now, just for a minute, and imagine how awesome you'd feel living the unique and distinct life you were put on this planet to live, doing work you love, with people and animals you love, in places you love, and all the while creating something of real value to others. That's what I call a life of significance. And I can tell you it makes for a very happy life. And so can Chuck Harlander. He's an old Del Valle High School friend of mine, and he's my guest star today. And he's here to share his unique and distinct journey to his life of significance. Hey, Chuck, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Matt. It is great to be here, and I look forward to our conversation today.
Right on. Why don't you get us started by telling us what you're doing these days to make your mark of significance on the world?
Okay, so with this bulletin board behind me, I'm a public school teacher. I teach 12th grade English at Sun Valley Magnet. We are a biomedical engineering and leadership academy. Teach 12th grade English, although I started 30 years ago in my teaching journey, teaching elementary school, middle school, and because I have summers off, my wife and I decided, you know what, I have too much free time, so let's start a dog rescue. So when my teaching hat comes off, I go home and I put on the kennel manager hat, and my dogs are waiting for me at home. My wife and I have an organization called Boxer Rescue Ranch in Acton, California. And speaking of beautiful places, people don't realize Los Angeles County has some wonderful countryside in the northern part near Palmdale. So we live out in the desert community of Acton, and we bought a horse property out there, 2 acres, 12 years ago. And we have boxers, pit bulls, and we rescue animals, and we have a sanctuary for seniors and medical needs dogs.
That's awesome. And I understand that you've recently started doing a little bit of running.
Yes, it happens also that out in the neighborhood of Acton, there's lots of trails and fire roads. So the running came about through Sun Valley Magnet School. LA Unified has a program called Student Run LA. And every year we train between 20 and 30 students to run the LA Marathon. I'm involved with SRLA for 3 years now. And it's a great organization. And because, you know, you talk a lot about saying yes to opportunities. So that's what happened. The coach came to me and said, "Hey, Mr. Harlander, what you want to join SRLA? What's that?" We train kids to run the LA Marathon. You've been running lately? I said, no, I haven't been running since Del Valle track team. But I said, you know what? Yes.
Good.
And started that summer, started running with 1 mile. I've now run the LA Marathon 3 times. And last year I did a 50-mile ultra marathon. So,
oh, goodness gracious.
Talking about small steps leading up to bigger things.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. Thanks, Chuck. So now let's do a little mathematics so our friends all around the World Wide Web get to know you through our happy formula. Now, as a teacher, I think you'll like this simple but powerful equation. Even an English teacher, the math isn't too hard here, Chuck. It's power plus purpose equals happy. So let's start with power. What are your personal practices for building up the power you need to get things done, whether it's physically, mentally, spiritually, financially, emotionally? In other words, Chuck, what do you do on a regular basis to create all the power you need to take really good care of yourself and your loved ones and your dogs, and still have plenty left over to be a giver to others?
The power comes from almost relaxing and looking for the signs that lead you to make the right decision. So instead of going out, how can I gain more power? The opportunities came to me, and for example, the rescue kennel and teaching. I gained the power from where? From the dogs. The dogs give me the power to run the kennel. My students give me the energy and the power to be a teacher. So it's the work you're doing and focusing on the work brings the power and the satisfaction. So
Yeah.
don't have to consciously think about where's the power going to come from. If I focus on the dogs, focus on the kids, and not focus on finishing that marathon, but focus on each mile of it, that's where the
Yeah.
power comes from. The joy of it brings the power.
Yeah, you're describing something that I discovered several years ago, and it's this idea between earthly power and spiritual power. Earthly power, that's finite, physical, mental, financial. You spend it, you need to replenish it. Versus spiritual power, which is infinite. And it's really it's you can call it many different things, but it's really the power that comes from love, and your love with your dogs, and your love with your students, and your love to running, or whatever that running's bringing you. That creates this infinite power base that you can tap into, doesn't it?
Yes, because that it didn't start that way. So the rescue kennel, we had one dog, and that one dog needed a companion. So we rescued the first dog from Boxer Rescue Los Angeles. We love those two dogs, and we love them so much. We said, well, let's go volunteer for the rescue kennel. So my wife and I would walk dogs on Saturdays and Sundays. And so for 2 years, we were going out on the weekends walking dogs. Then they have a kennel of 16 dogs. And they were going to close this kennel and send them to the county shelter, be euthanized. And my wife and I said, why don't we take 8 of these dogs and go find a kennel property? And so we did. So it's like that love gave us the power to say, yes, let's do this. So we literally picked up from the west side of Los Angeles in Brentwood. We had 3 dogs in a 2-bedroom apartment and moved out and bought the kennel property in Acton. And we converted this horse barn to a kennel and started Boxer Rescue Ranch. So it was, a labor of love, but it started with one dog.
Yeah, that's awesome. And that really walks into this next segment, to talk about my favorite power generating concept called a Kaizen state of mind. And it's this beautiful Japanese idea that small incremental improvements add up over time to yield great big results. And I love it because it's based on mindset, not circumstance. Kaizening life is knowing there's always something that I can do better tomorrow than today. And it creates this optimistic, gentle, but very powerful and continuous uplifting of my life day after day after day. So Chuck, how does Kaizen in your life, or how has it helped you increase your personal power to continuously become more so you can continuously give more?
I've talked about the kennel since I'm here at school in the educational sphere. The Kaizen works because we have high school students. We're doing a lot of testing, and the school, my teaching, our school is based on test scores. So if higher test scores is the goal, the only way to achieve that is focusing on one student, seeing what specific needs they have for their reading and math skills, and you focus on one student at a time. And by focusing on the small individual students, that's going to increase the scores for the entire school.
Yeah. One of the things I think I read about you as I was doing my research is you put a real strong emphasis on creating trust. You have to do it with your students. Of course, you have to do it with your dogs. And isn't trust like the first small step that leads to the next steps, and then you learn more about the student or the dogs, and then you can lead to impacting their life bigger? Can you just talk about that a little bit, how Kaizen and starting with trust works together?
Yes. The trust with the students happens because they sense that you care. And the rescue kennel and the teaching have really paralleled each other. I've learned lessons working with dogs that I bring to the classroom, and vice versa. And one particular dog, Rocky, who I started walking, and of course, with the dogs at the rescue, we have to earn trust. If it's an aggressive dog that other people say it's dangerous, he can't be adopted, these are the kind of dogs we take. So the first thing is to earn that trust. And famous dog trainers like Cesar Millan have this idea that you got to gain trust. And I learned that lesson and I bring it to the classroom. So I'm not going to be raising my voice. I have to establish the trust that the kids know that I care.
Yeah. Yeah, very good. Okay, so let's move on to purpose. That's the second element of our happy formula. And Chuck, I've observed that major life transformations, that big discovery of purpose often comes from devastation, addiction, abuse, death, disease, disaster. Something awful strips a life right to its core, resulting in some big change. However, in my book, Turning Inspiration into Action, I share the transformational process that I've used to discover my purpose using inspiration. So how about you, Chuck? Was there a specific moment or event or crisis or inspiration that revealed to you the purpose you were meant to live?
The event, I would say it is San Diego State University drama class. I was a theater major at San Diego State. And the professor had us write down, excuse the bell, live here at Sun Valley Magnet. They had us write down the purpose statement. Why do you want to be an actor? And I had to think about that. And I wrote down to communicate great ideas to people. And the great thing, having written that down, to communicate great ideas to people, when it came time to switch my career choice from acting and theater to teaching, that purpose didn't change, right? That goal didn't change. I'm still communicating important ideas to people. We're doing it right now on this podcast. So I understand that if you follow that purpose, it's okay to change jobs, change directions within that. So that was awesome. A powerful moment for me when that assignment was given. Right.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Why do you want to do this? What is the purpose of this?
Yeah. It's awesome when you can learn that early. But if you haven't learned it yet, folks, there's still time, isn't there, Chuck? There's always time.
Right. I started running when I was 57 years old. So, and I plan to keep going for a long time.
Right on. Right on. All right, Chuck, let's take a quick commercial break for our sponsor to spread a little love with our audience.
All right.
Happy is an intentional and lifelong journey, but it's hard to change and grow towards higher levels of happy without knowing where you're starting from. Our happy quiz puts a starting pin on the map to your happy living and provides additional guidance and motivation along the way. Just go to happyliving.com and take the happy quiz to get started on your road to happy. And we're back, and this is a Something Significant show, and I'm your host, Matt Gersper. And my special guest star today is Chuck Harlander. He's truly living a life of service, bringing peace of mind to the families that feel forced to give up their family pet, knowing that Boxer Rescue Ranch will love them and care for them. And by bringing joy to the families that adopt one of his dogs, giving it a brand new loving home and family to live with. And by giving confidence to his students by helping them discover a career path, or even bigger, their unique and distinct purpose for living the life they were put on this planet to live. Oh, Chuck, I do love that one. And I think you're going to love, I know you're going to love this article that I found by livescience.com. It's called The Science Behind the Power of Giving. And it says that the act of giving itself can be a gateway to discovering your reason for being on the planet. It tells how science supports the idea that giving one's time and talents and treasures is a powerful pathway for discovering purpose and overcoming difficulties and finding fulfillment and meaning in life. So I went back and I updated our formula. Power plus purpose plus giving equals really happy. So what do you think, Chuck? Has giving your time and your talents and your treasures been a pathway for discovering your purpose and for getting past difficulties that you've faced and for bringing real meaning into your life?
Yes, the power of giving lucky for me that I come from a family that understands that. Mother was a social worker, and giving to other people. I learned lessons early. As I mentioned, I was a theater major at San Diego State. And so one of the great lessons you learn in actor training is you have to give to your partner. And I learned that if I focus on giving to the students, giving to the dogs, everything else takes care of itself. And I give you an example of that when you mentioned we've had dogs. The family can't keep the dog. They have to give up the dog, and they're sad and they're devastated. But I would say, give the dog to us. And then 6 months later, we're able to rehome that dog and a new family with the kids, and they're so happy to see the dog. When I see that, getting up at 5 a.m. to feed the dogs before heading off to school, the giving is easy to do. It's a labor of love. So, and it started with other organizations. I worked with homeless teenagers on Venice Beach, and I learned a lot about human nature by giving them some food and some clean socks. So just get out there and give little things. Start small. Yeah. It leads to great.
What's the reaction? Do families that give the dog sometimes learn that you've found a home for their dog, and then that brings them joy too, right?
It brings them peace of mind to know that that family friend that they had to give up because they moved and the new place didn't allow pets or something, they have the peace of mind that we were able to find a new home for the dog. And my wife Lily and I, we focus on the dog. I mean, like if people want to give up the dog and has to stay with us for 4 months, they'll say, "Oh, can we come and visit?" Say, "Well, actually, it's better if give the dog to us. We'll take care of it. Don't visit, because then that's more difficult for the dog." So we have that same philosophy that we have to focus on who's getting the care.
Yeah. So it's giving. Science tells us that giving to others helps bring real meaning to our lives, right? You talk about who cares about getting up at 5 o'clock, and the feeling that comes from so science tells us giving brings real meaning. The feeling that comes from the fourth element of significance, doing work that creates value for others, confirms it. But there's something even more to it than that, Chuck. And I feel it deep within my spirit. It's when you're giving from living in your purpose, that's where you find the real sweet spot, the real magic of life. So our audience and I would like to experience how it makes you feel to be happily living this life that you've created, giving to others through the work you're put on this planet to do, and the people all around you have taken notice. Chuck, I'd like you to sit back, open your heart, and have a listen to what people are saying about the impact that you're making on their lives by finding that magic of purpose in your life. One person told me, what brings Chuck to all the good things he does is his heart, which beats quietly and humbly, but leaves an indelible heartprint. Another said, in my opinion, he's a modern day Superman. Another, one gift he has is that he always lets everyone around him be who they genuinely are and only takes actions to try and support the best version of themselves. Another, I've known Chuck since our childhood days, roaming the streets of Lafayette, getting into all sorts of mischief. Later on, the females seemed to like his looks. In our early bar hopping days, we could just tag along with Chuck and enjoy the extras he would attract. More people go on. He's funny, and he's fun and funny too, compassionate, full of positive life and spirit, observant, trustworthy, helpful, low-key, accepting, and supportive, giving, caring. He's always there for his family and friends, a mentor, a rehabilitator, dedicated, curious, lively, encouraging, energetic, purposeful, and wise too, open-minded, loving, a natural teacher, just extraordinary. He has a big heart and a gentle way. He loves to teach, and he loves the kids he teaches. He's active, working with youth, doing his best to keep his guys in track and away from the lure of gang activity and other crimes. One student said simply, "Mister, you got swag." Chuck also loves his dogs. There's no this person said, there is no dog too scared or neglected that doesn't warm up to Chuck within minutes. He helps those in need, and I love him for it. He's truly making a difference in this world. I'm proud to call him a lifelong friend. One of my favorite people in the world. Chuck and Lily donate to our rescue, even while running their own nonprofit. Then your darling daughter said, I'm obviously a little biased here because he's my dad. Ha! Exclamation point, she says. What I can share is that he is one of the most patient and kind people I've ever met. He's always been supportive of me and my decisions and been a kind, gentle, and listening ear. And finally, your beautiful wife wrote me saying, I'm aware how lucky I am to find a man who is your soulmate, who shares your passion, and is wise enough to let me be myself. Chuck has many talents and many good qualities, but the main one for me, he has compassion. What a rare gift these days. And yes, I thank God for him being my husband. So, Chuck, what does it mean to hear the impact you're making on the lives of others by finding the magic of living in your purpose?
You know, Matt, I guess it's okay that I skipped lunch today for this because I'm filled up now for months and months after hearing that, and I'm silenced and humbled by those words. So,
Good. And that's what I want our listeners to understand. When that surprised you, but it shouldn't be surprising. But the reason it surprised you is because you're just doing Chuck. You're just doing your life, but you're doing it with authenticity. That's it. You found your purpose. And that's what this show is all about, finding that magic in each of our lives. It's available for each of us. That's what I believe. And it comes from this great big happy circle, Chuck. It's giving your time and talents and treasures is this powerful pathway for discovering purpose. And giving from living in your purpose brings a profound joy to your life, but also to the lives of those around you. It seems
yes,
that
and also those connections, those people you talk to, I have ideas who they are, but they're connections that I've had for a long time.
Yep.
And that's an important point. You've got to maintain those connections.
A lot of them are long timers and a lot of them are new, that you just met, new students or whatever. But you've created this way of living that is attractive because you're not putting on airs. You're doing your purpose. And it seems to me like it's like giving leads to purpose and giving from purpose leads to joy. So I've got to capture this exponential power that we're feeling about this happy formula, Chuck. I've got to tweak it just one more time. Power times purpose times giving equals happy to the third power. And that's really, truly, deeply happy. Does that sound about right to you?
It sounds right to me.
Very good. All right, my friend, let's wrap things up with the lightning round. I think you love the power of words too, being an English guy. I love the power of words and the capacity for great quotes to change lives. So I'm going to read a few of my favorites and have you tell us what they mean to you. Give us the first thing that comes to your mind, Chuck, because it's called a lightning round.
Okay.
Here we go.
Ready.
This is from the movie The Big Lebowski. It simply says, "The dude abides."
You are doing what you were put here to do. Good choice, by the way. The dude abides.
Very good. This one's from Etienne Charlotte. I don't know, male or female, but Etienne says, "The dog represents all that is best in man."
The dog represents all that's best in man. It loyal, brave, and it's loving unconditionally. And the bonus the dogs have is no sense of mortality. They live their life for the moment because they don't know any other but the moment.
That's good. A good friend of mine told me, we were talking about dogs, and he says, dogs love you more than anybody, more than your spouse. He says, if you want to prove it, put your wife in the trunk of a car and leave her there for 3 days, and then come back and see how she reacts. And then put your dog in the trunk of your car for 3 days, and then come back and let him out or her out and see the difference. Yeah.
Yep, definitely.
All right. This is from John Wooden. He said, sports don't build character, they reveal it.
Sports reveal character, and you're not going to know how until you get involved. Sports push you to your limit and teach you how to keep going and go through the pain to get to the other side of the pain. And I just was talking about it with my students the other day about pushing through pain. And any marathon runner knows you got to push through the pain, right, to get to the pleasure on the other side.
Yeah, yeah. And pushing through pain could also be pushing through struggles, pushing through difficulty, right? Pushing through loss.
Yes.
All that, it's the same lesson applied over and over. All right, this one's from Ray Dalio. He said, while you can have virtually anything you want, you can't have everything you want.
You can have anything you want, but if you had, you already have everything. If you have anything you want, you have everything you want. It also means you don't need everything you want. You just need what you need.
Yeah, good. This is from Jack London. He said, I would rather be a superb meteor, every atom of me in magnificent glow, than a sleepy, impermanent planet.
Jack London, one of my favorite authors, is you have to be that blaze of light that's inspiring. Okay. People can find a planet that's there in the sky, but you see a meteor flying across the sky, you're amazed. And so be that.
Good. And finally, our show anchor, it's from Goth. He says, whatever you can do or dream you can do, begin it. Boldness has genius, power, and magic in it. Begin it now.
Yeah. Just start. Every journey starts with that first step, ingrained in me since I was a kid. Take that first step, run that first mile, do that first push-up, that first pull-up, and then do one more the next day. But you got to start.
Got to start. All right. And now, folks, it's your chance to be a giver, too. If you can hear my voice and you are inspired by today's show with my old friend, Chuck Harlander, won't you please share a little love with our incredible broadcast team by giving what you can to WITV7. They're a 501c3 charity on a mission to educate, empower, and encourage. They do good works with your kindness. Chuck, I love how you've used your big heart and gentle way to powerfully and diligently carve out a full and purposeful life that benefits others. And I admire the passion and dedication and energy you pour into your dogs and your students and your family. And I'm super happy that you've shared your humble and kind-hearted and yet high-octane spirit on our show today. Will you please take a minute or two and share any parting remarks you'd like to leave our audience?
Would just like to remind everyone, please, as someone who loves animals, support local rescue organizations. It's important to adopt a dog rather than getting a dog from a pet store or a breeder. And also look for ways you can get involved. Student Run Los Angeles is a great organization. And if there's organizations, your community, sports programs for kids, get involved, because when kids are out playing and getting involved in sports, then they're not getting involved with other things. So do a little bit, and it's going to pay off in big ways. And thank you, Matt, for having me today. It's great to see you. And like I said, I promised I wouldn't tell high school stories about Matt Gersper, but I will say you were always the nicest guy of the in crowd, football player, but you're always a sincere, nice person since I've known you in high school. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Chuck. You just gave me goosebumps. Thank you, sir. And I also want to thank WITV7 for hosting and promoting our show so we can keep interviewing inspiring guest stars like Chuck and reaching folks just like you, ready to create your own extraordinary lives. And most especially, thank you, viewers and listeners, you'll find links to social media and all things Chuck Harlander. Find him, friend him, donate to his Boxer Rescue Ranch. You can just go to Facebook and search for Boxer Rescue Ranch, or you can search for Char Lily's Boxers. That's CharLillyBoxers. One more time for both. On Facebook, you can search for Boxer Rescue Ranch or Char Lily Boxers. And from me to you, dear friends, I love you and I want you to be really, truly, deeply happy too. So go to happyliving.com right now and take our happy quiz, because measuring your happy helps you focus your attention on it, and focusing attention on it attracts change and learning and improvement, all to flow right into your life. And once you take the quiz, and it really only takes a minute, then please give some thought about what we can do together, you and me, to improve the happy of your world, one person at a time. Till next time, I'm Matt Gersper. You are awesome. And this is the Something Significant Show. And we're out.